Just one moment. You may go ahead. We're streaming live. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order at 10 o'clock. I need a motion and a seconder for the adoption of the agenda, that the agenda for the December 9th meeting of the Community Development Advisory Committee be adopted. Do I have any additions or deletions? Okay, and Lisa, you're moving, and do I have a seconder? Councillor Allen? Councillor Allen. Okay, so any objections? Okay, adoption of the minutes. We need that the minutes of the CDAC meeting held October 14th be adopted. Was there any additions, deletions, or any other discussion about it?
Ms. Hunter, if I could just interrupt for 1 second, I believe you missed the disclosure of pecuniary interest.
Oh, that's correct, I did. Is there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Then the adoption of the minutes. I know Ella had her hand up to move. Is there a seconder? Marlene, thank you very much. Okay, anyone opposed? Seeing none. Now we have a presentation. Ms. Amanda Pantry, Program Events and Education Coordinator from the Township of South Frontenac, will speak to the Open Farms event planning and execution.
Thanks.
Sure,
I'll just briefly introduce Amanda, if you don't mind, Madam Chair. So thank you, Amanda, for joining us. As this committee may be aware, we hosted our fourth Open Farms event this year, and the Township of South Frontenac was an instrumental partner in the execution of that event, and representing the township on a staff and implementation level was Amanda. We could not have moved all the moving pieces without her dedicated support. As I had very little involvement in the planning and implementation from a county perspective, and the person who is here is Allison is no longer with us to speak to it, I thought it might be great to bring Amanda in to speak to the Open Farms event from a township perspective and from her perspective overall. And she's seen the report that we have on the agenda, and can possibly answer some questions about the event if I can't. So Amanda, please take it away with your brief overview of the Open Farms event.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Richard. So Open Farms was a huge success, I think, by a lot of standards. So my experience was with the community hub at Centennial Park. That was kind of my my involvement with the event, and Allison and our other partners took more of the marketing and other components, the leads on those, and especially with coordinating with the City of Kingston and other marketing initiatives. So I guess I'll just speak more to the community hub aspect. So I organized the 2-day event at Centennial Park. So all the logistics and all that good stuff around making sure that that was a success. So it was beneficial for, I think, me to take the lead on that, first of all, because Centennial Park is in Harrowsmith, South Frontenac. So I had great knowledge of the park and the community. And then also our public services team, which I fall under that umbrella of the public services team here at South Frontenac. I was able to work with them very closely in the execution. So our team did the stuff that people might not think of for event planning. So like the garbage, recycling, barriers, pylons, signage, all that good stuff. So that was super to have my team here involved in that aspect. It made the execution of the event, particularly the community hub, very seamless. I'll just speak really quickly to the challenges of COVID. So obviously any large scale event, there's going to be some challenges, and then you pepper in a global pandemic, and it's, that much more you know, difficult to execute. And, you know, so we were constantly talking to public health, making sure we were doing the right thing. We were constantly talking to our vendors, trying to make sure that they understood what the expectations of them were. We had signage made up, and, you know, we had this great site plan that people were to only walk one way and then exit another way. And of course that kind of worked. And hand sanitizer everywhere, masks everywhere. So it was an added challenge for sure, but I think we rose to that challenge and were able to offer the community a safe outdoor event. And it was very well received. People said that they appreciated the organization and the flow, and they felt, you know, I guess safe. That's more of an anecdotal comment, that people felt safe at the event, but I do believe that that was the overall feeling from our visitors. So yeah, that was really great. I guess I would like to highlight the partnerships as well for Open Farm. So of course, it's a county-led initiative, and then South Frontenac was brought in on it, and we had RTO9 as well brought in on it. So there was 4 of us that made up the core team, and we also had the marketing student Kylie help us out as well. So there was 4 of us on the core team, and it was just wonderful collaboration. We've built an amazing friendship out of that event, the 4 of us organizers, and I think a big part of the success of Open Farms and that event was those partnerships. And it's very clear why partnerships and going for collaboration style of events and programming is the way to go. It was all of our skills and you know, specialties came together, and it worked out beautifully. So very, very proud of the event that we put together. Are there any questions from the report or anything that maybe I can speak on? Like Richard said, I wasn't the lead coordinator, but I can try and do my best, as you know, I was there anyway.
Exactly.
Sorry, Betty, I think you're muted.
Well, I was gonna say, if they don't like it, then yeah.
Sorry, does anybody else have any questions before I? Okay, so I was wondering, was Wolf Island an integral part of the planning also?
They were invited to participate, but not so much part of the planning team. Are you talking about the Commons?
Yeah.
Wolf Island, yeah. So they were invited to participate, and of course did all their you know, their requirements for organizing their element, but the overall Open Farms umbrella, they weren't too involved with the overall event.
Okay. And then I see that there was, how many hours was it? 48 hours of staff time from the county?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess I could say I probably put in either just under or about the same amount as well of staff time as well. It was a little more than I expected. I think you saw in the report the scope creep. That was definitely a factor that played into the extra staff hours that went into it. So we added the drive-in movie, and you know, the community hub was you know, kind of envisioned a bit smaller when it was proposed, and then it kind of grew and grew and grew, and all of a sudden we were planning this really wonderful event, but it did take up a little more staff time to implement than originally planned.
Okay, does anybody else have any comments or questions they wanted to ask about? Okay, so I want to thank Amanda for taking your time. I've read the report. It's a very successful event, and we'll have to see how it goes forward. I think it should continue, and it helps our farms. Okay. Thank you very much, Amanda.
Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Richard. Yeah, I'm just going to stay on if you guys will have me, and I'll see how the rest of the report plays out in the meeting. But thank you very much.
Certainly. Okay. So now we have an motion, and it's be it resolved that the Community Development Advisory Committee endorses the community and partner engagement activities as outlined in the report 2021-116 and requests that staff report back with an open farms update in early 2022. Do I have a mover for that motion? Lisa? And do I have a seconder? Marlene? And is there any questions, comments, or anything?
If I might provide a bit of an overview too,
Thank you, Richard.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. So the Open Farms report is pretty comprehensive, and it sort of outlines just how many different pieces of the puzzle went together in order to fulfill the Open Farms goals this year. And part of that, I think, was just in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. If something couldn't work, there would be maybe something else that was going to continue or go on. What turned out is that everything almost worked and went ahead, with the exception of our farm to table, our Open Farms themed meals with the local restaurants. And that was limited primarily because the restaurants were incredibly busy still in September, but they were understaffed, and so the chefs and the staff at the restaurants really liked the idea of participating in this way, but they were unable to dedicate resources to make that work, and that's a result of the pandemic. This is the fourth year and the third version of Open Farms that we've essentially conducted. So it's almost Open Farms 3.0, I suppose. And we've included some of the most diversity of elements, including the farm visits that took place before. One of the pieces that the report doesn't highlight is that one of the farms did charge for their events, and people willingly paid to participate in farm tour events at their farm through the Eventbrite platform. We also, as Amanda spoke to, the community hub at Centennial Park, it was basically somewhere between a festival and a farmer's market, and it was really well received by everybody, and at no point did it feel so busy that it was uncomfortable from a COVID-19 standpoint, but we still managed to put 1,600 people or more through the event over the course of 2 days, and that's split about evenly between the 2 days. And there was music and food vendors in addition to farm vendors, and the reports from the farm vendors were very positive in terms of product sales from those people who were attending the event. So in that sense, using Open Farms to draw attention to this site and to this farmers market style event really supported market vendors in their efforts to get products to folks. There were 45 visitors at the Frontenac Museum, the celebration of agriculture, and for the museum staff, that was an overwhelming number of people. And so, while that may seem low next to 1,600, they had very in-depth conversations with people who were interested in their specific aspect that they were bringing to the event. So it was considered a success by the Frontenac Museum. And the drive-in movie theater, we beat the record of Summertime Cars. I don't know if that was just because the movie Babe is very popular with families, or if it had to do with our alignment with the event. And then what was really nice was the integration of some other regional farmers markets, specifically the market at Wolf Island, the Wolf Island Commons. They had a very successful day. They had a barbecue that sold out as part of their day. Their vendors were increased in attendance, and so it was probably their best day all summer, from the sounds of things. So they were very, very pleased. And our initial partnership with restaurants was difficult. We tried a number of things, like shooting how to make a meal recipes, and we managed to find one restaurant, the Hotel on Wolf Island, to do one of those videos, as well as and then we worked with the farm on the second video, because all the other partner restaurants that we were working with in Kingston were just having difficulty finding time to schedule us in because of the demanding capacity that they were working with. So that's unfortunate, and it's something that we'd like to, revisit, because it's important for us to build connections between our local farms and the local restaurants. And it seemed to be another partner that was instrumental to this event was the province of Ontario through their grant, and Tourism Kingston through their resources that they put towards the event as well. I just want to draw your attention to the discussion section of the report. I'd be very interested in hearing some of the committee's response to some of the considerations laid out near the final page of the report, in terms of any of these questions, because we're going to go to the farmers in the new year and go through these questions. But based on our reporting, and some of these committee members have seen a couple versions of open farms now, I'd be very interested in hearing your thoughts about our use of county resources to achieve this, and also if there's different ways that we could achieve similar outcomes going forward.
So you're talking about the strategic priorities that you have listed at the end of the report?
No, I'm talking about right above next steps, and I'm not sure what page this would be on, because I'm on split screen, but it's there's
prior to making commitments.
Six questions. And really, this is an this is there is a resolution in our agenda, and that's fine. We can move forward with that agenda, but with that resolution. But ultimately, what we're looking at here is a discussion more than a direction at this stage, and we'll be back for direction in
2022.
In 2022, yes.
So if everybody has these 6 questions in front of them, I'm hoping, is there any discussion that you would like to have? The goals associated, does it still serve the goals? Should the size and scope of the event be limited? Are there other agricultural economic development efforts that could benefit from the county's attention? Does the agricultural community still want and need? Can it be distributed better among partners? And does it still meet the economic development mandate? So that's just a quick overview of the 6 questions. It's not the full questions, but it's close. So is there any comment or discussion on those by anyone?
Betty, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
I just note that since Amanda said that there were a lot of hours and the event grew, that perhaps some thought towards limiting the types of vendors. I saw that the credit union was there, thinking perhaps that's not, I mean, it may support agricultural people and the farms in terms of economic, but in terms of focusing on agriculture related events for the community that may not connect as well as some other vendors might. So there may be a role for that. If this is going to keep growing and growing and you can't control the size of it, then there probably is a role for limiting the scope.
Okay, thank you very much. Ella?
In agreement with Marlene, I think if the program focused more on bringing in educational around agriculture with the cost of living, I think the more education we can give to people on how to grow and produce their own food. So maybe like not necessarily the credit union, but some form of teaching that can help people sustain life better. But I think the program is fantastic. I do think it's something that could grow over the years and expand into something quite phenomenal. And I believe agriculture is the way of our future. We need to self-produce our own food going forward. COVID showed us that. That's my opinion.
Okay, Alan?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. It's my understanding that in the first two iterations of the Open Farms program, that we had extremely high numbers, some several hundred people visiting some of the farms, I believe. And so vendors essentially sold out of their product and had probably a bigger exposure. And while I think there are different elements, I think that Open Farms could provide, such as the education component, and maybe there would be more growth in the number of participants at place like Centennial Park for where the vendors are there. I still think the farm visits is an extremely important component, and so that may be an opportunity to continue to emphasize that part of it to ensure that that element is has the biggest exposure. You're muted, Betty.
Sorry, Lisa?
Okay, I was just pointing out Betty was muted. So, however, having said that, having been a part of the committee for a couple of years, kudos to you for constantly having to pivot this event and make it work with COVID regulations the best you can. You've done a great job, and if COVID wasn't a part of the last 2 years, I'm sure this event would have outgrown what staff could do at the moment. But at the same time, you've definitely pivoted every way that you needed to.
Thank you. And I have to really say that this year was an incredible team effort with having support from RTO9 and staff support from RTO9 and Amanda, but really Allison's commitment to working with the stakeholders and working with the farms led us to such a successful event year over year. And that was instrumental in terms of how going forward, that approach and working directly with the stakeholders is critical to keeping the event authentic and important to the community.
Okay, any other comments? The restaurants, are you using the township or I know you're contacting with the city of Kingston, but are you like, there's different restaurants in the townships that?
Yeah, we worked with food providers in the townships. The cookery from Inverary and Gilmore's Meats provided food on site at Centennial Park, and we have reached out to our local food vendors and retailers and restaurants with the opportunity to participate in open farms in the past.
So was
We'll
was
continue
seed
to do that outreach. Yeah.
Okay, so you reached out to seed to sausage and some in the more northern parts that could come down,
Yeah,
or back 40 cheese, you know, there's,
yeah, and we reached out to all of our farms and food vendors as part of the outreach for the event, and they have to make their calculations in terms of what they're able to include. It would have, unfortunately, the Charlotte Lake Farmers Market didn't take place this year, and it would have been nice to be able to create a hub in Charlotte Lake to feature some more northern vendors, much as we did on Wolf Island. But we have to have a partner on the ground to collaborate with, because we don't have the capacity to coordinate. Without Amanda, we wouldn't have been able to do the Centennial Park piece, and so without a coordinator for the Wolf Island market, we wouldn't have had somebody to relay information with and communicate with and make sure we're marketing the right information with. So hopefully the market in Sherbet Lake can find a resource that we can work with if we continue to adopt that model going forward.
okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. And if I could have a mover and a seconder, I will repeat it again, that the Community Development Advisory Committee endorses the community and partner engagement activities as outlined in the report 2021-116 and requests that staff report back an open farms update in early 2022.
I apologize, Madam Chair, but can I just ask that we make a friendly amendment from a staff standpoint? The report is actually 2021-118, but the motion reads 2021-116.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's not that's our fault. That's my fault. I'm begging your forgiveness here.
Okay, so it's 2021-118. So
Yes.
if I can have a mover.
Madam
seconder?
Chair, Ms. Henderson and Ms. Fruit have already
Oh,
been
did
seconded.
that? Okay, I was wondering. Okay, is there anyone that does not support the motion? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so now we're on Community Development Advisory Committee, the Frontenac Ambassador Program. And the motion reads, be it resolved that the Community Development Advisory Committee endorse the gradual changes to the Frontenac Ambassador Program as outlined in this report. So I hope everyone has had a chance to read this report also. And if we could have a mover and a seconder so we can discuss it, and then I'll remember that we did that. So do we have a mover for this motion? Lisa? And a seconder? Alan? Okay, so do we have some discussion that people would like to, I hope everybody's had a chance to read it. And is there a discussion that you'd like to have at this time about the motion? About the outline of how we're going to go forward with this?
Madam Chair, I can do a brief introduction to the report too, just a quick overview if you'd like.
Thank you.
This committee would be familiar with the Economic Development Service Delivery Review that took place last year. And it had a number of recommendations, 4 main recommendations. And one of the pieces is that our department work more as a collaborative element across the region between Frontenac Business Services and the townships primarily in terms of the delivery of economic development, so we can be coordinated. As the townships are interested in participating more directly in the economic development, our attention would move away from providing direct-to-business services and focus more on investment attraction efforts. And so this report outlines a little bit of a sense of a transition. We don't want to just tell businesses we're not there for them anymore, and because we certainly are. But what we want to do is continue to be a key player by either connecting with businesses to the resources they need or the partners that they should be working with when they're requiring one-on-one help, but then also connecting businesses to each other using the network we've already established with the Ambassador Network, by moving into more of a group, a support group kind of role with the sector roundtables where where businesses can hear from each other. One of the things that was incredibly valuable during COVID-19 was just listening to how other businesses were responding and advising each other on how they were navigating things and growing things. And so we want to capitalize on that community that we've essentially built, and take those people who are doing this work every day, responding every day, and helping them share with each other how they can grow their businesses. So that's the idea behind the sector-based roundtables, and so we're proposing to start with the 3 roundtables on tourism, agriculture, and arts and entertainment, and food and beverage falls under the tourism roundtable to begin with. This would be essentially, we're doing a lot of work on tourism, so it's a good time to be connected to the tourism community. They're one of the most active parts of our ambassador program. Agriculture, we're already essentially doing roundtables with the farmers and agricultural community through open farms planning. And arts and entertainment has been something that has been growing in this committee's attention, as well as our attention going forward. So those were the 3 roundtables that we look to propose. And then we lay out how we would leverage our existing businesses and our existing work that we've done with businesses to promote them, to look at either increasing, finding which businesses we should be attracting, and that comes from collaborating with our townships and Frontenac Business Services, and providing those tools to go. So we become more of a regional marketing agency working on behalf of the community, but using direct local business intelligence as our as how we message and connect with potential investors, businesses, even residents who might be interested in coming here.
Okay, so discussion. Anyone have any questions of Richard or the report? Going forward, Alan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's not so much a question, but really just something I want to ensure that we retain is the ambassador program remain wholly within the county, that we're not trying to get ambassadors outside the county. I think that's something that I feel is extremely important.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. Does anyone else have any other comments that they would like to put forward on the report or the initiatives that they're looking at doing now? The one thing I was wondering, do you think that the tourism and agriculture should be 2 different roundtables? Because when I think of tourism, I think more of the resorts and the lodges and the camping and that type of thing that need to get together, and then the agriculture as the farming, food to table. Now I know maybe restaurants would be involved in both of them, and all could be, but I'm just wondering if that should be separate discussions. Sorry, Richard.
We don't have a significant number of restaurants in the county, so we probably can just reach out to them and pull them and see, where they feel like they'd fit in best, in terms of whether they'd rather work with food producers, or with accommodators, or with both. and that can be, there's no reason why, if you're really eager, you can't participate in multiple roundtables.
Yes, yeah. I just think that if you did one with tourism and agriculture, it's going to be two different directions maybe. So pulling them to separating them might be a better idea, but that's my opinion. Anyone else have any comments that they'd like to put forward about a tourism or a agricultural roundtable or arts and crafts roundtable? Any of those? Do you think there's any sectors we're missing? Nothing? Okay, so we have a mover and a seconder. So is anybody opposed to the report or the motion that we have put forward? Seeing no one opposed, the motion is carried. Okay, now the Frontenac business survey. This is a report only. So Richard, if you would like to comment on the report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So so every year we've been engaging the business community with a survey, and to capture year-over-year changes in the business climate in Frontenac County, as well as to inform our work and efforts as an economic development agency in the region. And so so the survey questions that we've included as an appendix here are generally it's very similar to what we asked last year. I added the tourism section to gather some more relevant tourism data as part of the survey. If you have any suggestions for questions or information that we should be gathering as part of this annual survey, now's a great time before we build out our engagement plan and take it out. We always do run the survey in January of every year. So that's my introduction.
Okay, Marlene?
All right, thanks, Richard, for the opportunity to contribute to the questions. I wonder, since the next crisis that we're facing is a climate crisis, whether we should be engaging with our local small businesses who are undoubtedly going to experience the demands of shifting to a greener economy. So in terms of how they are concerned about how that will affect their economic well-being, and what the county and or the province may need to do to help support those businesses in that transition. So what are they worried about? What's the biggest threat that they see by the shift? Those kinds of questions. Not that we're going to have the answers for them right away, but we can get a sense of what might be useful. I recall there was a recent North Frontenac Council meeting where there was discussion of whether there should or shouldn't be an electric charging station supported by the county. And so that kind of, do the businesses want that? Do they need that? Do they think their customers want it? Those kinds of questions. And I don't think it needs to be really, really comprehensive, but we probably should begin to explore that area.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marlene. Someone else have anything? I just have a question in the tourism section of 28D. I don't know how you want them to, it's how busy were you in 2021? I don't know how you want it. Do you want them to respond in the number of customers, the increase or decrease in revenues? How busy were you in 21 can be a very.
So yes, good question. I didn't include the metric. So it's actually a grid. So it actually asks them to indicate occupancy rates for each month. So, you know, were you full? Were you at 80% to 100%? Were you at 50 to 80%? Were you 25 to 50%? Were you empty, or were you not running because you're a seasonal business? And so for each month, they indicate what their, you know, what their estimated occupancy was during that time, essentially.
Okay, thank you. It was looked a
No,
little.
good, very good question. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions? Did anyone have any other questions about the survey and the survey questions? Do you think it's too short, too long?
Did we lose the chair?
I think we did.
So who's vice chair again? Is that you, Lisa?
I believe Deputy Warden Doyle is on the call via telephone, and he is the vice chair if he would like to take over.
Okay.
Deputy Warden Doyle, you are muted.
Hi, it's Angelique. He's unable to mute himself. So do you want to wait and see if Betty comes back on?
Is there somebody who we could perhaps ask to take over the chair until Ms. Hunter arrives back on?
Perhaps Councillor Ravel could chair.
I'd be willing to do so if you wish. So while we're without going off topic, Richard, maybe this might be an opportunity for you to introduce Debbie to the group. We did have a very brief introduction, but with other members still wanting to join back in, perhaps this would be an opportunity to introduce her.
Well, that's a great idea, and welcome back, Madam Chair.
Sorry about that.
Yes, we've spoken about our former community development officer, Allison, in terms of open farms, and she has moved on with her career to the city of Ottawa, and we wish her the best of luck there. She's going to be a great asset there. But we have also, as a result of that, managed to recruit an incredible asset in Debbie Miller to play the role here. And Debbie comes to us from the city of Kingston, where she spent the last 7 years as in communications, managing communications and marketing. I can't remember what the title was, but primarily her superpower, because that's what I call people's expertise these days, is superpowers, is community engagement. And she worked with the city to build the community engagement framework, and will bring a lot of lessons to the county in terms of working with our stakeholders. But she's really excited to get out of the city and hit the roads and meet everybody in Frontenac County. Debbie, I'll let you tell us more about what you're feeling and thinking about, instead of me telling them what you think about and feel.
Thank you very much for the great introduction. Sorry, I was just trying to unmute myself on multiple places. Yes, I've come from the city of Kingston, and prior to that, I was with the town of Huntsville. So understand the rural components as well. Love working with the community, love getting to know people. So those are all really important pieces, and I really look forward to getting to know each of you. So I've spent the last couple of days having a lot of conversations with Richard around the role and the areas that we see that we can work together, and sharing duties and doing things like that. So there's lots planned and lots of great ideas percolating. So I look forward to connecting with each of you. And please feel free to reach out if you've got questions. I'm happy to connect personally too. So thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Nice to meet you, and welcome to the team. Okay. Was there anything else that we needed, before we, the next meeting will be scheduled for Thursday, February 11th, to be held in combination of an in-person and virtual electronic format and live streamed on the YouTube channel, and that will depend on what's going on in the world those days. So that's a subjective, but it will be February 11th, one way or the other. And has anyone else got anything else that they would like to? Yes, Marlene?
So in my calendar, Thursday in February is the 10th and the 11th is a Friday.
Okay, thank you.
That's correct. So we'll make sure that it's on Thursday, the 10th.
Okay, so that's corrected to Thursday, February the 10th at 10 a.m. On my calendar. Thank you very much, Marlene. Is there anything else? If not, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting. Lisa? Marlene? Anybody opposed? And thank you, Dennis, for joining us on the phone, and all the staff for their, and I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and stay safe. Thank you very much.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.